Good day. Welcome to yet another edition of Tellsomeone podcast. You know what we do? We tell it better than the rest. I'm one host who listens to people. I make sure that when my people DM me, when they comment, they like, I listen to them. It is you who said that no, SG, we need Kabelo Makgato back for part 2. And I got him for you. He's here. Mr. Makgato is here. I made sure. Give me a round of applause, people. Mr. Makgato.
I'm glad
How
to
are
be
you,
here.
my brother?
I'm good, man. Yo,
we made sure.
no, we had to.
We made sure.
We absolutely
given
had
the
to.
work schedules and everything, we really made sure. He's here.
Yeah, no, it's been a while. I remember. I think the whole pay part 2 must come. I think it came the first week of part 1. By the way, guys, you must watch part 1. It's apparently amazing.
Yeah, because it's going to defy all the logic if you're going to watch part 2 without having watched part 1. So make sure you go to our part 1 and then come and join my brother here again for a very interesting part 2.
Yeah.
Mr. Makgato is here, as promised. My brother,
Yes.
last time you were here, you were speaking a lot of things that made the entire social media space go crazy. What is this man talking about? Mental health.
Yeah.
The only mental health that people know is the mental health that people get disasa, social crimes for being crazy.
People think that mental health is about craziness. Yeah.
And then you went on speaking about depression, bipolar, you were speaking about PTSD, anxiety. You confused people even worse.
I was kind of hoping just to introduce it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's an ongoing topic. You know, it is not something that we can unpack fully in 40 minutes. So I tried my best to try to just define what they are.
Yes.
But today, we are.
But one of the most important thing that was frequently asked was that why is Kabelo saying men's mental health? Why is he not saying that today we are dealing with mental health? He's saying men's mental as if that illness does not affect women. I'm sure maybe women were feeling sidelined. We are how women are.
Yeah, no. But the thing is, I'm a men's mental health expert.
Yeah.
I'm a life coach, and also, I've got a passion to help men, and my passion comes from the fact that 80% of the suicides that are committed in the entire world are committed by men.
Yeah.
So we talk about Corona being a pandemic, but that's what the true pandemic is.
Yeah.
I mean, men are jumping off bridges, putting guns in their heads, hanging themselves, using all sorts of manners, and usually it's very violent manners that they use to harm themselves, to show that there is a problem.
Yeah.
So now for me, I had to step in because there are so many organizations for women. Women empowerment, women this, and we love you women. I'm not against you. All I'm saying is that can men also have a platform where we educate ourselves with men issues?
Someone once said that everything is being said, but there is a continuous overlook of the boy child.
Yes.
The boy child is being overlooked.
It is.
Apparently it comes from apartheid. Back then, Barry, men were given all the empowerment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Women fell backward. So they're trying to bridge that gap and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But coming back to our topic, my brother.
Yes, sir.
These people are saying that you were too deep with them.
Yeah.
And now that you are speaking, is the reason why you are speaking about men associated with the issue that men have got pride and they've got ego? Because maybe speaking about men because men have got pride and ego and stuff
I'm
like
sure
that.
it's women who are saying that.
It's them. They're DMing me.
Okay. They're saying okay, cool. Yeah.
So I want you to. And I said to them, okay, fine. Kabelo is going to be with us, so he will unpack in greater detail what ego is and what pride is, and how do these two associate with
men. It's funny that you should say that because I talk about ego a lot. And as I was growing up, I thought ego is about the kukumo side, to think you're all that, to think you're better, and that's what I used to think because of the conditioning that I had, which we'll talk about maybe later. But I've come to grow and understand that ego is simply anybody who identifies with themselves outside of themselves. When now you find identity in external forces. You know, I am a doctor, I am a father, I am a teacher, I am this and that. Ne? It is in those identity, uh, you know, that false identity that that ego is birthed. Ego thrives when we say we are not what we are.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, and because look at it like this, ne? If indeed, you know, let's say you say you're a doctor, and then you make a stupid mistake, and someone catches you on camera, and you lose your license.
Yeah.
Remember, you've just identified yourself as a doctor. That's your identity. If you lose that, then who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you? So now, when you lose a sense of self, you know, you step away from yourself, then you lose. Now that's where depression comes in. You're depressed because okay, I can't locate myself because for 25 years I thought I was the doctor. Who am I? Because a doctor is not who you, it's not who you are, it's what you do. It's what who you are does.
Yeah.
You know. So now the ego thrives when somebody is living an elusive, unrealistic life based on whatever concept that they've given themselves of self.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now what happens is that the only way to eradicate or to kill the ego is to look at it. Darkness doesn't exist. It only exists in the absence of light.
Yeah.
So now when you walk into a room, you switch a torch on, darkness disappears. To show that darkness is not real. So look at it yourself, the real you, as the light. When you look at the darkness, which is the ego disappears.
Yeah, no. This man. It's part two. Hey. Part two.
And then pride. Pride is more. It's more about every time thinking that everyone is beneath you. Pride is when you have exalted yourself above everybody else and every other situation. Now, when you walk into a room, you need to be heard. You know, when you are, and I'm talking about men, by the way. It can apply to women, but now we're directly talking about men. Men have got a tendency to size each other up about everything. Okay, I bought a car. Which car? How much horsepower does it have? You know, I got a woman. Does she have care? You know, because you want to see if yours is better than theirs.
Yes.
You know, so now that's where pride is, and it can contribute to the mental health pandemic that we're having, because once now your pride is not matching up with what you with or rather it's not matching up with what you actually want to appear in a certain situation, then you have a problem.
Yeah.
This one is buying more than me. So I've got a problem now. Instead of, and this person is actually buying for you.
Yeah.
Instead of you enjoying your drink and having fun with the people around you, you're more worried about why am I not the one doing the buying. So that's a problem for men.
Yeah. You know, as in when you're busy speaking here, there are certain things that I fail to they relate.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit of peer pressure happening inside there. Do men suffer from peer pressure?
Boys suffer from peer pressure.
Yeah.
Men suffer from peer pressure.
Really? Is it not something that
no? It's just a
can be
just a
attributed?
different dynamic. It's a different dimension of pressure. You know, as boys, you're more. It's more about the girls that you get. It's more about the alcohol of drinking. It's more about, okay, can you smoke? Do you want some Zol? You know, you are trying to fit in. But as adults, we're trying to fit in different ways, and it's more damaging. But usually starts from a young age, you know. But it's more damaging in the sense that now as a man, you know, you are busy trying to, sorry, excuse me, see, that's why I don't like this. You know, you're trying to measure up to a lifestyle that you cannot afford currently. Just because you have a friend who has made it in life, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you have to make it in life right now.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We are coming from different places. We have different understandings. And there is nobody that's better than you, and that's something that men need to understand. There is no one better than you. They're just different. Different doesn't mean better. Better doesn't mean different. So you need to understand that when somebody else is succeeding, it doesn't mean that now you have to be pressurized by their success. Nor does it mean that when a person asks you to do something, because I think I speak a lot about energy, that we are energy fields. We're doing beings. So when we walk into a room, for example, we are sitting here, you and I, and we're having a great time. Somebody walks in, and then so all of a sudden, the mood just drops. It's not dropping because we hate the person. It's because the kind of energy they bring into the room. So sometimes you'll find that I'm your friend of mine, but my energy is dominant. You understand? And it doesn't mean it's better. It's just dominant. Again, So now I am busy pressurizing you to do certain things, but because your energy field is at a lower level in terms of the pressure, or that these two energies are not aligning themselves, you find yourself being pressurized to do certain things that otherwise you as a person would not do. So yes, absolutely, peer pressure is amongst all of us.
But you see, out of all the three things that you have mentioned, ego, pride, and peer pressure, I am sensing that people who do that, people with ego, with pride, and people who suffer from peer pressure are having a serious identity crisis.
Another pandemic.
Would you agree with me?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Identity crisis. I was having a Twitter space on it actually, and I titled it "Who Are You?" It's a very powerful question. If I had to ask you, "Who are you?" what would be your answer? And if I had to ask you, who's listening, who are you? Outside of external factors like being something that you do. Remember, doing is for the body, and being is for the soul.
Yes.
And we are soul beings having a human experience. So we cannot do it the other way around. People think that because I can feel pain, I can walk and I can run, I can think, that this body is the main thing. And once you start to understand the dimension of being, which is the soul level, then you understand yourself better. You understand? So now you can't identify yourself with external forces. See, being, and this is something I always say, live your life as an expression of who you are, the soul being, not as an expression of the body. Because once you live your life as an expression of the body, then all the body needs and wants is all that matters. Does that make sense? So now you when things don't go your way, the body wise, then you start having mental issues. Now you are anxious. Now depression comes in. Now you relate yourself with a past event. This is where PTSD comes on, post-traumatic stress disorder. So it comes in because now you're expressing yourself as a body being instead of a soul being. So elevating yourself above the body helps you to actually have to have a connection from the body and the spirit, so that now it listens to your being instead of the body itself. I don't know if that makes sense.
Hey, you're making a lot of sense. To be honest with you, that's one thing I like about having a discussion with you.
Yeah.
You are making a lot of sense. You've just mentioned PTSD now.
Yeah.
So I want to understand. I'm listening to you attentively.
Yeah.
Does this mental illnesses bring about the other? Like, let's say I'm suffering from PTSD.
Yeah.
Can I, because of PTSD, because PTSD normally is an experience. Am I right? PTSD is an experience. Can I suffer depression as a result of PTSD?
Well, already in post traumatic stress disorder, you can.
Yeah.
Absolutely can. Because remember, we did unpack it last time. That is why it's very important for you to watch part 1.
Yeah.
Because we unpacked what PTSD is. And just want to just touch on it a bit, since you asked the question. It's resulting from, that's why it says post. It's something that has happened before. Now there are repercussions or consequences or mental consequences that come out of that. So now it is possible, and by the way, it's possible, but it's not definite, to move from post to to everything else. It varies from situation. It varies from different people. How you relate with depression and how I relate with depression is very different. We can never have the same symptoms. We can never be the same in our depression. Because we're different people, we understand things differently. So now, for me, I would say that it's possible, but it's not definite. But we really need to we really need to look into what we can do as well as people, to try to eradicate this pandemic that we have amongst men.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. I thought you wanted to add. Yeah, the reason why I asked this because I did not. I wanted to understand the grouping of these illnesses and stuff like that and everything else.
Yeah.
But there is another terrain that many fail. In fact, they're afraid of discussing about it, and that is the marriage between mental health illness and spirituality.
Yeah.
It's something that I've heard of. I was not well informed and well vested about the information, but I just said to myself, why not postpone this topic since part two was imminent.
I'm not sure. I'm not really 100% sure if I'm gonna be answering your question correctly.
Yeah.
But people, especially black people. Let's talk about black people. Sometimes as black people, we are to a level ignorant. Yeah, when it comes to things like mental health, about getting professional help, about getting counseling. Referring this was to like why little 1.5 per hour. Why would I do that? That can feed my kids, and I can understand where we come from as black people. But at the same time, we need to wake up from it, and realize that yes, there's a marriage between mental health and spirituality. In that, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, as I said.
Yes.
So now just that, but by just saying that statement alone, you should understand that the two have to coexist. Your mental health and your spirituality have to coexist. But that doesn't mean that you need to be ignorant of the other. What I mean is that, for example, you find that black people always say things like "Mutotoroiwa," we have been bewitched. Only because maybe you are forgetting and you don't realize that that is maybe Alzheimer's, for example. That you're just suffering from a certain illness, mental illness. But then they will say you are being bewitched, and now they want to take you to who. And then some people want to take you to church. And I always say that I love spirituality and all that it brings, and religion, all that it brings. But we need to know that certain things are spiritual and certain things are not.
I want you to. Okay, yeah.
Oh, I've got a question. I don't know if I should. If I
No,
should.
you can ask. You can ask. Our camera lady wants to ask a question.
Okay, I just wanted to find out, Mr. Kabelo, as a life coach.
Yeah.
We've got people are like let me just say men in different age groups, right?
Yeah.
I know I believe that it's very difficult for maybe to actually make them aware of mental health. But how do you make sure, or let me just rather say, how do you plan on actually educating them about mental health? Let's say, for example, men like with the ages of maybe 50 or 60 years old, typical black men like our fathers. How do you actually make sure that they understand and educate them so that you can actually understand that there's actually nothing wrong with them spiritually? They're just having a mental breakdown. How do you make sure, and how do you emphasize, how do you put that emphasis on them so that they can actually understand?
Well, I think for me, for example, now the platform that I'm in, which is Twitter Spaces more than anything, where I'm educating men, I've learned that the fastest way to get to the men in their homes, since they don't have social media, since they don't have YouTube channels, is to educate the young people, their daughters and their sons who are on Twitter Spaces about educating them.
Yes.
I speak a lot about speak to your fathers. I know that right now maybe the relationship that you may have with your father is not on par because of how we grew up. You know, we're not close with our fathers. Most black men are not close with their fathers. So what I do is that I empower the people under them so that I can go into their homes without me having to speak to them directly. So now when I go in and I empower their sons and their daughters and their grandsons, they can go and say, Mara, granddad, you know, you just need to just see someone. There's a pill that can help you with this. You understand? So then they become the voices that I have empowered to go and speak to their fathers.
And it brings back to another question. You know, when the camera lady was speaking, like these topics must not be topics that are discussed with the elite. Because in rural communities, people go through these things and then we say it's witchcraft. And it's something that we need to it's areas where we need to disseminate
we need to educate
this particular information. Because Motu Kofi only because that person is bipolar, that person has got depression and stuff like that. But can we attribute it to ignorance or lack of information?
Ignorance is a term used for lack of information. Remember, the word ignorance is not a bad word. People just use it badly. You understand? Just like someone when they say you're a bastard, the word bastard doesn't mean, it's not a bad word. It just means you don't have parents. You understand? But we use it to break someone down. So now the word itself then loses the value or the meaning that it had originally. But ignorance is just a word that means that you lack information.
This is interesting. This is interesting. I think I'm going to allow you in again.
Yeah, because that's very interesting. I mean, to have somebody who's coming up with a different platform when it comes to mental health for men, especially in our
and
areas.
It speaks about part two. What your input speaks about part two.
Yes.
And I like how Kabelo is just answering your question.
Yeah, then it's very calm when you're answering this. It's like you're prepared for this. Okay, so I wanted to find out, Mr. Kabelo, when it comes to people who are less privileged, let me say, for example, people who cannot actually come to you. Maybe, for example, people who have got mental health issues, but they cannot afford to come to you. Do you understand? How do you actually help them? How do you actually plan on helping them and maybe helping them to bring them closer to you? Where if maybe, for example, they're having financial problems and they cannot actually come to visit a life coach, how do you actually help those ones who are facing such challenges?
I think that's a question that was answered also on part one, partly. I'm a director of an organization, a pro bono organization. Pro bono just simply means for free. We offer services for free to anybody that not everybody, men, specifically for men. It's called the Laura M Foundation. So what I do is that as we're speaking to the young ones, as we're speaking to whoever, remember I can only do so much. I know I cannot go to every community in Limpopo, but what I can do is what I can. So where I can do something, we are offering pro bono services. We have a lawyer, just in case you're a man who's dealing with a baby mama issue that is unfair or whatever. We have a lawyer. We've got a pastor if you want spiritual help. We've got a sangoma. We've got a medical doctor. Maybe if you have issues with your sex drive or whatever the case may be, which are very that directed to men. So now we in that because we have that. The best that I can do is that. For the communities that are around. I'm not only offering it to the people that are on my Twitter spaces. I'm saying if you have a son. I've got a lady that I'm helping right now. We have become very close, me and this lady. She's got 2 sons, and I absolutely love those boys who had issues. They were seeing a psychologist, and she couldn't reach certain places with them. She reached out to me. I'm speaking to them daily, and I'm having breakthroughs with those boys.
Wow.
You understand? So now I have a lot of those. I've got a guy right now that I'm speaking from the United States, LA. He's South African, but he's that side. And he just DM me on Twitter. He's like, this is the issue. So now I'm trying my best to reach where I can.
Yeah, well, we've just had Kabelo Makgato. The part 2 was very good. We're looking to more conversations with him, and it's not going anywhere. He'll still be with us. Thank you for having me, my brother.
I'm so excited and hope that people will get this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our show. My name is Ramagoma Rendani, aka the SG. Sharp.